Seems like new people are still joining, so let's wait few minutes. A very good evening to all of you. I warmly welcome you all to the Azure Fundamentals event organized by the Devoki Campus Club in collaboration with the FOSS Community of NSBM Green University. I feel so privileged to welcome our guest speaker today, Microsoft MVP, Mr. Shamira Prajapriya. It's a great honor to have you here today, sir. We are so thankful to you for accepting our invitation and participating in this event. Before we commence the event, Thanu is ready to give you a small demonstration on how to mark the attendance for this event at the Mozilla Community Portal. Thanu?
Thank you, Amandaki. Before start the event, I will show you a small demonstration on how to mark your attendance on Mozilla Community Portal. Can you all see my screen now?
Yes, Thanu.
Okay. So first of all, go to the community.mozilla.org website, and then on top right corner you can see sign up button. Click on it. After that, login with Google button. Select this login with Google button to log in through your Google account. And enter your credentials there. After logged in, to mark your attendance, click the link in the event chat box. So after going there, after you enter to that link, you can see the blue attend button here. Click that button to sign to mark your attendance. I hope everyone understood how to mark your attendance. Does everyone have any questions? Okay, to continue with the event, I hand over to Amandaki.
Thank you, Thanu. Okay, now let's move on to the most important part of the event. For that, I kindly invite Mr. Shamira Prajapriya to enlighten us on Azure Fundamentals.
Okay. Good evening, all, and thank you, Amanda, for the introduction and handing over to me. So let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, let's start. So I hope everyone can see my screen. And it's okay. So my name is Shamira Prajapriya, and I'm a Microsoft MVP in Azure. And also my profession is a principal architect, cloud architect, and it's my own business. And other than to that, I'm leading STEM up and other startups. And again, I'm working with another academy called artificial intelligence. So before we start the session, so you can see my contact numbers, emails, everything. If you have any question, if you cannot raise that question within this time duration, so you can just send me a WhatsApp or send me a Facebook or anything. I will try to help you as much as I can. And so I request moderator to support me if something arises from the chat box. Just let me know that is there any question, because I'm not focusing on the chat. For the audience, if you have any questions, just type it on the chat box so moderators can support me on the question. Okay, so today's topic is Azure Fundamentals. So my agenda is like this. My first topic is going to be for you, for the audience, everyone. Hear, see, do, and understand. I will explain what I'm trying to achieve through this statement. Secondly, I'm going to give you a brief about technology before we start about this Azure anything, because you guys are here today to learn Azure. It is a technology, but I believe you need to have a better idea about the technology first. Third point, I'm going to give you a brief about what is cloud computing. That is the first level of Azure whatever environment. Then I'm going to, as a fourth point, I'm going to discuss about Azure plus few more. Fifth point, end of the day, you guys doing all these to be prepared for the industry, for the market. So there's a one slide. I'm just sharing after all these, what is the industry expectation? And I'm open up for question and answers. So it is the basically the chance of audience. So my total session I have planned for 100 minutes and I have given for Q&A 20 minutes. So I have remaining 1 hour and 44 minutes. So let's start. So the first two slides, so I am using this to just make sure my audience will get the best benefit out of this session. So this is a famous quote, which is in the internet and everyone. The quote says, "What you hear, you forget. What you see, you remember. What you do, you understand." Okay. So let me give you an example and brief this, because this statement aligns with your life. If you do this correctly, you will have a wonderful future. What it says, what you hear, you forget. Okay. Right now we cannot have an interactive session. So just when I'm asking a question, just imagine by yourself the answer in your mind. Always think on the question. So what you hear, you forget. It says whatever the things you hear, definitely it will forget. Maximum will be 2 weeks. I will give example. So Amanda, who is the moderator of this session, was repeating my name twice, and I also repeated my name one time. Altogether 3 times, it was repeated today. Think about who can remember my name for the moment. Okay, that is a simple example. And again, think about after 2 weeks, will you be remember my name? Definitely forget. Same thing applies to everything you learn. If you just sit on the class, if you just sit on in front of your PC, if you just only hear what I'm saying or your lecturer saying, any kind of a professor saying, what will happen is definitely within 2 weeks it will forget. The second point, what you see, you remember. Okay. Right now, actually, I haven't shared my face in here because I believe that it will distract you within this presentation. But see, if you forget the name, but still you can remember their faces. So you have seen the post, there was my face. Think about after 2 weeks or 1 month's time, if you see me in the society, like outside this, in the city, so any other session, you will remember this is the same person who did the session for us on this day. But the possibility is high, still you cannot remember the name. Same thing, in the class, you will see a lot of images, a lot of videos, everything. So what you watch on that time, you will remember, okay, I saw something like this, it is similar to this, but still I cannot remember, but I don't know what is that. You will have that concept in your mind. The third point is the key. What you do, you understand. Okay. So it means whatever the things you learn, whatever the things you hear, whatever the things you see, if you try to practice them by yourself, you will understand the points. You will get it to your mind. So I'm going to give you the one last example for this. If I say there is a flower which is red and it's kind of a big flower and the shape is like this kind of scenarios, you will imagine by yourself, okay, the red color flower, what kind of a shapes he's talking about, you will realize everything. So your mind is creating that picture. If you see same picture outside the world, you will remember, okay, this is something you see. And if I give that flower to you, you touch and feel it in your classroom, to experience it, to have it with you, every time you will remember this is the name of the flower, this is the shape, this is the feeling, this is how it's work, and everything. So finally, I want to say what I'm going to share with you today, just not limited to just hear, not limited to watch. Try to practice them. Try to do them by yourself. Then you will understand everything, and it will make sure, it will guarantee that your next future life, your career, will be benefited out of this. Okay. Next thing is about the technology. I'm going to show you one video, commercial video, which is related to Microsoft. I want you guys, all the participants, to watch it and hear, listen it, and try to understand what are the points is try to give it to you. Because I like this commercial rather than what is trying to uh, present, the things what this presenter is trying to give you. Okay, just let's spend 1 minute to watch it, and I will get back to the presentation. Watch, listen, subtitles are there, read. Try to do the three at the same time.
Today, right now, you have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. Think about that. That's what technology really is. It's possibility, it's adaptability, it's capability. But in the end, it's only a tool. What's a hammer without a person who swings it? It's not about what technology can do, it's about what you can do with it. You're the voice, and it's the microphone. When you're the artist, it's the paintbrush. We are living in the future we always dreamed of. We have mixed reality that changes how we see the world, and AI empowering us to change the world we see. You have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. So here's the question: what will you do with it?
Okay. I hope everyone had a chance to watch it. So I'm going to get few points, extract few points from that video. So it's all the video, throughout the video is talking about the technology. So there is a one question, end of the video, what will you do with technology? Okay. So this presenter is telling this technology is only a tool. Okay. Let me extract these few points. It's asking, what's a hammer without a person who swings it? Okay, just leave this example. Just think about all are watching cricket match, right? All are fans. So think about like the if they are only the bat in the ground, will it be able to hit sixes or fours? Okay, think about if you go into the ground with the bat, can you do it? We are just talking about the person, the batsman, who just handle the bat. Whatever the ball coming to the way balls coming towards the batsman, it's the ability of the batsman to handle the bat. That's what you have to understand. Technology is only a tool. The person who handle it is you. So another example is you are the voice and it's the microphone. Now think about, I am conducting this session and my voice is coming towards you through the technology, through the microphone and everything. So think about if I just talking uh, useless stuff, what will happen to you? What you can gain? So the voice is the technology. It means how you behave your voice, how you just trying to give you something to you, what are going to express, everything happen in your voice. But the microphone is only the tool. Again, when you are the artist, it's the paintbrush. Think about it. Only having a paintbrush, can you do a great paint, a beautiful paint? No. It's the ability of the person, the artist, who is handling the paintbrush and do a drawing. So lastly, the point is, with we are faced with this COVID situation, The last year we faced is East attack. We faced a lot of issues, but we were able to learn every day without any issue. Right now, you all the audience are places where you are, and as the speaker, I'm at my own home. I'm just not from my laptop and I'm doing this. This is the question. Just go to your parents and ask from them if this COVID situation happened at their age, at their time, when they at the time they go to school, what will happen? So it says you have more power at your fingertips than entire generation that came before you. Right now, you just all the participants might be at home, but still you are trying to learn something for you. That chance didn't had to your parents. So that's why I said this is the technology. You guys thinking about okay, what technology I should I follow? If you are going to be a software engineer, C sharp, so what are the cloud technologies which I have to follow? You have to change that mindset. By experience, I'm telling this, just focus on the concepts. If you have the right concept in your mind, you can follow any technology. End of the day, this video is telling us it's not about what technology can do. It's all about what you can do with technology. There might be hundreds of technologies around the world, but if you are just listening to them, if you're just trying to follow them without trying to do any innovation or invention, so it's you. That's about it. So just focus on these points. I'm going to play that video once again and going to start my session because I gave this all the points to you guys. I want to give you some milestone to change your life. Focus on the concept and always think about the technology, what you are going to do with technology. Okay.
Today, right now, you have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. Think about that. That's what technology really is. It's possibility, it's adaptability, it's capability. But in the end, it's only a tool. What's a hammer without a person who swings it? It's not about what technology can do, it's about what you can do with it. You're the voice, and it's the microphone. When you're the artist, it's the paintbrush. We are living in the future we always dreamed of. We have mixed reality that changes how we see the world, and AI empowering us to change the world we see. You have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. So here's the question: what will you do with it?
So keep the question in your mind. What will you do with technology? Okay, so my first question, starting the session, what is cloud computing? So cloud computing is something is renting resources like storage, spaces, or CPU cycles on another company's computers. Okay, so get as an example, right now you are having your PC. You may be watching this session through your mobile phone or your desktop or your laptop. So all those devices has a computing power. Okay, computation. It's a processing, the softwares are running, everything. But when it comes to the cloud, we are just focusing about the thing. Why we are talking about all this cloud? We are talking about the remote accessibility, like the stability, everything. I'm just talking about the cloud behaviors in next few slides. So the cloud, the normal terminology is cloud has resources, um, multiple resources. Only thing is, the benefit is anybody can rent. they can rent in resources, any kind of resources. It can be storage, it can be CPU, it can be AI, it can be cognitive, in the analysis, anything. But only thing is the physical computer layer and everything allows on another company's computers. Okay? So it can be Microsoft, it can be Google, it can be Amazon, it can be AliExpress, any kind of thing. Okay. So the key benefit is, again, you only pay for what you use. What we are talking about, only pay for what you use. Think about like right now you have the desktop or computer, phone, whatever you have in front of you. What was happen is you have to pay in full to purchase your laptop. You are just utilizing it. If you say within 24 hours for a day, it might be for 10 hours, 15 hours. If you say 10 hours, the rest of the 14 hours is remain without using it. But you paid for the entire lifetime of the PC. But when it comes to the cloud computing, there are a lot of services. You can choose you're going to pay for what you use. It means if you're going to use these services for 2 hours, you're going to pay only for 2 hours. Okay, so there are 4 key elements when it comes to the cloud computing: compute power, storage, networking, and analytics. What is this compute power? Okay, it says this includes the Microsoft Azure Cloud Services, web and workloads. So computation power, I'm just talking about the next slide also, but I will brief this in here. Okay, forget about this cloud and technology, everything. Just answer my question by yourself, imagine by yourself. What is where is located computation power in a human body? How do you compute? Okay, what is this compute? Okay, if I ask the question 1 plus 1, what is the answer? You might be saying 2. 2 plus 2, what is the answer? You might be saying 4. 4 plus 4, what is the answer? 8. Now you're computing, you're processing, computing. Now think, what are the elements you use to compute this thing in your human body? It's brain, right? You're using it. Likewise, in the cloud also, to process everything, compute this stuff, we have resources. So as an example, virtual machine, websites, mobile services, serverless computing, there are a lot of things in Azure. The second point is storage. What is storage? Okay, forget about the again technology. Take a real example, your human body. Where you store everything. When you see image, you know this image is related to this. If you see a person, you recognize, oh, this is the person. His name, all the attributes, name, age, address, location, phone number, what is he ate on last day, everything is, you know, you have storage in your body, right? We can say it's head against brain. Okay, then we come to the cloud. It has the same thing, storage. We need to store stuff. We can use Azure storage. So there are several storage types: blob, queue, table, Azure file services, and again databases, Azure SQL, and there are a lot of things in Azure. So I'm just giving you a brief idea about what are these terminologies. And then again the networking, other key element. Okay, so networking is a key stuff, whether you have a cloud or you have your own PC. If you don't have the networking resources, you cannot access it. Okay, so Azure is provide a lot of networking with secured features: virtual private networks, Azure Content Delivery, CDN, Azure Traffic Managers. There are a lot of networking services. I will try to give you some example when to use, how to use, but I'm not sure about talking everything within next 1.5 hours. But try to just get this concept to your mind and do the research after this session. As I said clearly, try to do, then you will understand. And the last thing is analytics. Okay, so nowadays we are just talking about everything like visualizing the data, like for the users to have a better understanding. And we call it the big data analysis and business intelligence. We have a lot of names for this analytics. End of the day, it's like analyzing a lot of information and giving a forecasted information using AIO kind of a thing, giving a better output for the customer or the business owner kind of a thing. Okay? These are, when you come to the cloud computing, these are the key four elements we are just focusing on: compute power, storage, networking, analytics. So I would say when you do a solution, you are just utilizing all these four elements to bring your solution to life. Okay. So let's move into the next tab. Okay. It's explaining about what is the compute power. There is an example. It says when you send an email, book a reservation on the internet, pay a bill online. This is an example. Take this Microsoft Learn module of what kind of a stuff. If you do something on your PC, so it's used some processing and everything. It has some kind of a processing computation. You are a consumer. You are using kind of services which is related to cloud. So these services, when it comes to the computer services, we can segregate into two in Azure services. You can use containers or serverless computing. So I'm just going to highly touch these things in high level. I'm not going to deep. So container scenario is like, it's not like similar to VMs, virtual machines, but only thing is like it's provided consistent, isolated execution environment for applications. Basically, it doesn't have operating system. Okay. Without operating system, I'm just describing about the layers, everything in the next few slides. Just keep this in your mind. The containers is something without a guest OS, it's give you services. It's isolated execution environment, which is similar to VMs. You can just load your whatever the stuff you use into containers. Other one is serverless computing, like you can have this think about if you want to process a function, you can set up them on using the serverless computing technologies in the cloud without creating a VM or without creating another container kind of a thing. There are some services where you can put your code into there and it will function. So as example, we can say like Azure functions in a default app services. There are a lot of things like this. So basically, when it comes to the computer powers, we are talking about the containers and serverless computing in this current world. Okay. So this is a small diagram which will give you a brief about what is this virtual machine, containers and serverless scenarios, what are the elements it get differed by each. So when it comes to virtual machines, definitely it has a physical hardware set which you don't know where it's located. You might have idea. We have the idea about the regions and everything, data center locations, but you don't know which physical server it is. We are talking about server farms. On the physical servers, you have a host operating system, which again to control the physical hardware and everything. And on top of host operating system, you have a hypervisor controller. It means we can say like hypervisor control, like kind of a scenario VMware kind of a tool where it will segregate different virtual operating hardware parts on the physical hardware level. So we call them virtual machines. So virtual machines consist of virtual hardwares. Virtual hardware in the sense you can say, okay, physical hardware might be having 60 GB RAM. You can create a virtual hardware saying, okay, for this virtual machine, I am going to utilize 14 GB RAM. And again, the hard disk capacity would be like in the physical hardware level, 10 TB, 100 TB kind of a thing. You would say for my virtual machine, the virtual hardware would be 1 TB hard disk. And the guest OS is what you're going to use in the VM. So get in your mind, there are the host operating system is there, guest OS is there. So host operating system, you don't worry about, it will be managed by the provider. But when it comes to the virtual machines, guest OS is your requirement. I'm just talking them again later, but I'm going to highlight these points. on top of the guest OS, you can have any kind of app. It can be a Windows, it can be a web application. End of the day, you can have multiple applications. On one physical hardware, you can have many number of virtual devices, like virtual machines, virtual machine 1, 2, like this. And again, what is the difference between virtual machines and containers? Okay, only thing is container doesn't have like kind of a scenario like virtual machines. So you have the host operating system is up to that level is same. Apart from the hypervisor controller, you have the container engine, which will like a engine where this all the containers we call when you come to the, as an example, you can get Kubernetes. It's a nodes and pods, everything. So end of the day, containers will have the all the dependency requirements and application. On a one container engine, you can have multiple containers. It means kind of a one applications. So what is the benefit of it? Like you don't want your have your guest OS. You don't want to waste your hardware resources, virtual hardware resources for the guest OS. I will explain why in the other slides. The third thing is serverless scenario. Serverless scenario is like most of is kind of application. Again, is serverless. We call it serverless runtime, where you can you can directly push your code into as a function. Whenever you want, it will execute it. You don't want to worry about the hardware resource what is utilized. It will make sure your application, your function, your code will be function up to the maximum level, and you will get charged for that call. So when I'm giving you the example about the costing and everything, you will realize what are the benefits and what is the best services for your codes when it comes to the cloud. Okay. Before going to these things, okay, I will just pass in this one. I'm coming to this. What is Azure? Okay. So this Azure is again, you might be thinking about this is software, what kind of a scenario. Azure is not a software, it is a platform with a collection of services. So Microsoft Azure has a lot of services. It's related to the computation, analytics, storage, networking. Under those four, you can get a lot of things, AI services, everything is there. So in this platform, you can simply go into the Azure.com site and you can have a trial account and you can start utilizing all these services. So as a giving this brief, cloud environments typically provide an online portal experience, making it easy for users to manage compute, storage, network, and application resources. So it is basically Azure. Okay. So I just wanted to start from this. What is this cloud offerings? Okay. Then you will understand what I was talking about this serverless computing, containers, and everything. Okay. When it comes to the cloud, there are four types of offering. Cloud has three types of offering, but when it comes to the IT industry, there are four types of environment. So four types are, first thing is on-premises. It is something you manage. It means, as an example, if you take banks and other companies who has own data centers at their business premises, we call them on-premises. They own the servers. They have the physical hardware at their location. So we are going to compare all these cloud offering against to on-premises features, on-premises services. So then what are the cloud services they offer is we segregate into IaaS, PaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, SaaS. So IaaS in the sense, if infrastructure as a service, PaaS, PaaS in the sense, platform as a service. Third point, SaaS, SaaS is called software as a service. So all these offerings we segregate into 8 elements. So like we call them responsibilities. Okay, so let's go into the on-premises servers. What are the responsibilities we are talking about? So, okay, elements: networking, storage, servers, virtualization, operating system, middleware, runtime, data, and applications. So let's go for the examples. What is this networking? Okay, Just nowadays we are talking about the remote access in everything. You need to have the networking. So network in the sense connectivity. You need to have a, when it comes to responsibility on the networking side, if you are maintaining on-premises servers, you cannot be rely on one ISP provider, internet service provider, ISP. Okay, you have to have one backup plan. So when it comes to networking, that is the first element. You have to invest for two ISP providers, and again infrastructure level connectivity, multiple servers, and the connectivity network cabling, everything. Everything comes into under this networking layer. When it comes to storage, okay, you need to have huge storage. We are talking about. We talk about, okay. As an example, we take about your laptop as an example. Right now, you might be having 1 TB hard disk, or if you are using SSD, it might be 512. But end of the day, like after a few months, you'll be realizing that I'm going out of my storage. Just because of you are storing all the documents, you might be storing movies, everything. When it comes to the commercial level, on-premises servers, same thing happens. Like when you have multiple databases, file servers, everything, you have to worry about this. Responsibility is here. You have to worry about the storage. You have to invest huge amount on preparing the infrastructure layer for storage. I'm just giving you the words. Just go and search. We call them SanDisk, and it has terabytes, and you are just segregating them into another virtual resources. So likewise, the storage, everything you have to invest on this on-premises servers, each level, networking, storage, and the other part is it's called servers. Why they highlight this as servers? Okay. As an example, think about if you have the networking and storage, can you just start your computer? In the server says there are other resources, right? RAM, ROM, CPU, everything is there. So we call them servers. So you have to invest on all the servers. If we are talking about, say, 8 core servers, we can also go multiple virtual servers. There are a lot of uh, investment you have to put in when it comes to server level, apart from this network and storage. And again, we call it hypervisor, like virtualization. Uh, you have to have another application to virtualize your hardware, and before that, virtualize your hardware in the sense on top of the guest OS. We are talking about this on the host OS. We have the virtualization VMware. It's in the host OS. We haven't mentioned it here. On top of the virtualization, you have the guest OS. Okay, guest OS in the sense, if you are just using the virtual machine, that part only you are focusing. You just use remote desktop, you connect to the VM, you will see, okay, it has Windows Server, Windows 10, or kind of a guest OS. And if you have middleware runtime, those two components to make sure your applications can run on, we can say IIS and other .NET frameworks, everything will be on top of that OS. And then again, coming to your part, right now as studies, software engineering or kind of a thing. So data and application. End of the day, we have to worry about the rest of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 responsibilities to give you a chance to host your application data. So if you're maintaining on-premises servers, these are all the responsibility and key thing you have to worry about. So if your network goes down, your application doesn't work. If you go out of storage, you cannot store your data. If your server, RAM, other servers, powers, if you fail, your application doesn't work. If you have the guest OS, think about if you are not updating the patches and the framework releases everything middleware runtime, you're going outdated and it's open up for vulnerabilities. So these three are another responsibility of yours too. You have to maintain everything. Then come to your point, data and application. Data in the sense your database or file level data, anything, and your application, it might be web application or Windows application. End of the day, you are just only thinking about these two, but behind that there are set of responsibilities lies on we call them network engineers or IT administrators. They have to just make sure all these elements are run smoothly to give you the better performance and current, we can call it current level applications and data. So let's see what will happen if you move with the cloud offerings and how these responsibilities get segregated. So first offering is IaaS, infrastructure as a service. It means your provider, in this case Microsoft, will take care of the network, storage, server, and virtualization. Everything will be taken care of, and your responsibility is to manage operating system. It's a guest operating system. You might say Windows 10 or Windows Server, Windows Data Center, anything on top of Windows operating system. You can think of what is the middleware runtime data running on in the .NET framework. If you might be saying Apache or kind of all the runtime applications. And then again, you can install your MySQL or Azure SQL or any kind of a data part and the application. It can be your PHP application or Tomcat, whatever application. So your responsibility will be limited only for this part. It means still you have a huge responsibility. Just make sure securing your operating system. You have to do the patch updates, everything, and the framework updates. You know, if you're just using frameworks, you have to keep update them. If not, it will open up for vulnerabilities. So it's not, again, not only maintaining your application. You have a kind of a responsibility. But the benefit of it, if your server, if your RAM, if you are comparing with the on-premises server, if your RAM is not working, all the applications get down. But when it comes to the IaaS, you don't worry about what is the RAM is working or storage working, anything. Everything will be taken care of by the cloud service provider. When it comes to Azure, it will be Microsoft. The rest of the thing you have to take care of by yourself. When you go to the platform as a service scenario, there are only two things you have to worry about: your application and your data. So rest of the things will be taken care of by the service provider. It means Microsoft. So OS patch updates, the firewall security, runtime updates, everything will be taken care of by Microsoft, and you have to only just focus about your application and data. In this case, we call, like, if you're using a VM, as an example, you have to install your Azure Microsoft SQL SQL Server application into virtual machines as an infrastructure service scenario. But when you come to the platform as a service, simply you can use Azure SQL. We call it managed instance. So it's only just matter of using that SQL service. The rest of the things, hardware level, maintaining, everything will be managed by the Microsoft. The third option is SaaS, software as a service. All the things taken care of by the service provider, means Microsoft. Your only concern is using that application. Okay, let's take example for this. On-premises servers, you know the example. Banks, they are having on-premises servers just because of they cannot restore their customer data outside the countries. They are always trying to secure them inside their premises, and they have separate DR, disaster recovery sites. So backup scenarios, everything is there. So that is a huge responsibility. When it comes to the IaaS, the example is virtual machines. Whenever you want, you can go to the Azure cloud, just click on virtual machine. You can say, I need this kind of a RAM, this kind of a hard disk, this kind of a CPU level. Just matter of few minutes, you have the virtual machine. You are not worrying about what is the brand of the RAM, what is the brand of the hard disk, where it's located, is it functioning, do you have a backup hard disk, who are the ISP providers. Those are none of your concern. You are just only using your virtual machine. When it comes to platform as service, think about a real example is like, if you want to host your website without worrying about OS and everything, you can use app services. It has I'm just going to demo you what is this app services. Just simply you can publish your code into the app services and your application start working. You are not worried about what is the IAS, how you forward the IP, what is the IP, historic IPs is assigned for these virtual machines. So you are not worrying about none of those. Okay, when it comes to the SaaS, it's just we are talking about customer is only using the application. The real example is O365, Gmail, Yahoo, all are SaaS solution. You are not worrying about where your data is located, your emails is located, what is the server brand, what is the server resources. None of those are not none of your concerns. You are only focusing about, okay, I'm just using this application. What are the features I'm having? I can say, if you're just taking about emails, I can send a mail, I can attach a file, it will store on the cloud. Still, you are not focusing about where it gets stored, what is the data center location, is it get backup? You are not thinking anything about that. So WhatsApp, Facebook, all are SaaS solutions. Okay, this is what we call cloud offerings. Okay? So when you just go into Azure and other services, you need to have a better understanding about these responsibilities and features, because this will help you to decide when you want to use IaaS virtual machines, when you can use platform as services scenarios, when you can use SaaS solutions. Okay. So I will give an example about when you want to use virtual machines. Mostly we recommend to use virtual machines when you have a legacy application. What is this legacy application? Legacy application in the sense which might be old more than to 5 years, which is using old technologies, not the latest. So those are we call legacy applications. So why we cannot host legacy application on platform as a service? Because we don't have a control about the runtime and middleware. We cannot say we want .NET 2.0 to host my application, because .NET 2.0 is a legacy version. Now we are talking about .NET 4.8 and so on. So it's the same thing if you are just using .NET Core 3.0 and onwards. So when it comes to the application services, you can host legacy application. If you want to decide what is the runtime you want, what is the middleware you want, what is the operation you want, it is going to be your decision, then the best option is to go with infrastructure as a service, virtual machines. Platform as a service, there are a set of options. You have the opportunity of selecting them. You cannot decide, I want, it means you cannot customize, I want this. Always the cloud provider is giving you the option. SaaS, nothing is under your control. You are just only using them. Okay, so Azure services, we are segregating them into 4 different. We will talk them: computer services, data services, application services, network services. In the first few slides, I talk about these computer services, virtual machines, Azure websites, Azure mobile services, examples. Data services, storage, blob, queue, table, Azure file services, everything with Azure SQL databases, the cache, rich cache, we can say big data, data warehouse, everything come under data services. Application services, we have active data services, services bus, distributed system, currently 18 insights, schedulers, Azure media services, CDN. CDN not come on that, media services. There are a lot of things, application services. For the AI also, company services, all are come under application services. So network services, virtual networks, VNets, Azure content deliveries, EDS, traffic managers. There are a lot of things. So I'm just going to have few demos. So on that, I'm going to talk about the application service and so on. Let's see within the time what we can achieve. Okay. So I'm going to give you the start on a demo on the Azure environment. Okay. So I'm going to give you a demo about Azure portal and what is the subscription and billing. So okay, let's go into one by one. Okay. First thing is Azure portal. Okay. So okay. Let me check. Okay. We don't have any questions for the moment. Okay. So what you have to do is when you have Azure account, you have to, okay, I will go into this. portal.azure.com. So all our universities, I think you might be having details. When you go into the portal.azure.com, you are asked to log in. You can provide, say, 1 second, just to give you this Azure site. So this is the Azure website. What you can do is you can create your own Azure tenant, and it is free for. There are free services. Actually, you can use for 1 year's time, and you will get 200 worth of $200. You can utilize within first month that dollars to just test any kind of service. Only thing is you need to provide, if you're creating Azure account through the web, it will ask to provide a valid credit card just to verify your identity. But when you have the trial account, your credit card won't get charged unless you change it to a pay-as-you-go account. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about what is this pay-as-you-go pricing models. Okay, for when you have the Azure account, so it will be like this. So basically like this, like it have a dashboard. This is kind of a portal. On the top corner, you will see this menu icon. You can see multiple services you have. Okay, this one lists all the services. If you go into all services, you can see everything: general, computation, networking, storage, web, mobile, containers, database. There are a lot of services, AI, machine learning. Okay. So this is your portal. So I'm going to first talk about subscription and billing. That is the first thing you need to have a better understand when you're using the Microsoft Azure. Well, most of the people are come and ask me, like, if I use these services, how it get charged, and how should I make sure that my credit card won't get charged. So on the search panel, if you just type subscriptions, actually this is my company live account, so you will see you will have this kind of subscriptions. Okay, if I select one subscription, you might be having one subscription. If we call pay-as-you-go, so I will get this private production. This is the pay-as-you-go model. It's a pay-as-you-go. This is a one cloud offering. Okay, let me check. Am I going to talk about these cloud offerings? Okay, no, in this slide, I'm not going to talk about these price offerings, but I will give about idea. Okay, we have this pay-as-you-go model and the partner model and the enterprise model. There are three different pricing models. Pay-as-you-go in the sense anyone can go into the website and you can create your own account. So we call it pay-as-you-go. It will charge based on your usage. That's why we call pay-as-you-go. Whatever the service you use, it will get charged based on the usage. Another partner model is there is a partner ecosystem in Microsoft. For the corporates, they can come on board with partners, so they will get special supports and pricing. Enterprise is for like partner models for SMBs. Enterprise is for very large companies which has more than 300 employees and services, so they can come with enterprise agreements. So if you see, when you have a pay-as-you-go model, you can see the bill amounts and everything, and the usage, everything get listed. So it says for this period, I already utilized this much of this $150 worth of services. If you want to see your history and everything, so you can go to latest invest. And the best thing is, it gives you the cost analysis. Cost analysis in the sense, you can see how this 150 worth of dollars was utilized among what services. Okay, if I just click on this, okay. Okay, if you see this graph, it's called Azure App Services 25, SQL databases $10, for the bandwidth $1. So this is for service wise, and this is location wise. What is the utilization? So all my data center locations are on Southeast Asia. At the end of this session, I'm just giving you a thought about what are these data centers and location, what are the services. And then again, there's a concept called resource group. I will explain this when I'm going to create an app service as a demo. Okay, what will these are the things. So this says forecast. Within this period, if we give a forecast, I'm going to end up with this kind of a bill. But for the moment, its actual cost is 37.39. Okay, so this kind of graphs we have. And the other thing is, if you are just using these services using a credit card, you can set budgets. For a subscription, you can go and say, okay, I have this kind of a budget for this subscription. You can say, if this budget reach, you can ask, okay, stop all my services usage and down all the sites. So it will make sure you won't get charged more than to your budget. So, and it has all the past invoices, everything you can see, and your payment modes, everything. And I will just give you a thought about this. What is this advisor? So actually, I had advisor scenario. It means it's a technology, it's a service. It will give you advisors to make sure your services, whatever the services you use, is there in the working, functioning properly, or is there any issues, something. Everything will be get to you through advisors. Okay, so that is about subscriptions and everything. Okay, so before to give you a demo about how to create an Azure app service, best thing is you need to have a better idea about how we are going to just see what is my cost if I going to utilize a service. For that, you can go into Azure Price Calculator. Okay. You just type on Azure Price Calculator. You will direct to this kind of a calculator. So this is how you can estimate before you use these Azure cloud services, what is the cost you are going to bear by your pocket. Okay. So since I'm going to create an app service as a demo, I will take this app service as to my calculator. Okay. I'm going to give you a better idea about these options when I'm going to utilize. So when it comes to the Azure, okay. So the first option is regions. So we have multiple regions. Okay. With this demo, I'm just going to explain all these without going to the presentation back. Okay. So there are multiple regions. These are the regions of we are having data centers. So East Asia, Southeast Asia, Australia, Central. If you see all by name of a country, why? What is the importance of this region when you select Azure? Okay. So region is a one key element to make sure you rely on your application performance. Okay. Think about your customer audience when you are using a small web application. Think about invoicing application if you are building. So your customers audience is based on Sri Lanka. So you have to figure out what is the nearest data center for Sri Lanka. Why is that? If you are studying network subject, you might be have heard this scenario hops, network hops. So I'm not a master at networking, but I'll give you this example to understand. Think about, you might not think about this previously. Right now, think about when you access a website, think about if you're just accessing azure.microsoft.com website, what is the communication problems? What are the steps? Your computer connected to internet through your ISP provider. It can be Dialog or Telecom, Mobitel, any kind of a ISP provider. So ISP provider is located in somewhere, anyway, from your router to nearest tower to the nearest center. From that center, it will get connected with other countries to the MARAN cables. Okay, so we can see cables. So those cables we have for the Sri Lanka, there are 3 cables. As I know, one is connecting from Mount Lavinia, and other one also, I'm not sure, it's Valuato kind of a scenario. Another one is Trincosite. So I'm not sure, but just check on them. You need to have a better understanding about all those. Okay. So from that, it's connected to the nearest center. It means our data center, our Sri Lanka nearest data center is located at Singapore. Okay. So how I decided the nearest data center region is Singapore. You can decide it through, you have a website called Azure Speed Test. If you run this application, you can see, okay, sorry, this is not the site I refer. Sorry, azurespeed.com. Let me check. Yes, it should be azurespeed.com. What will happen is you can see all the regions we have. So since we are a Asian country, I will say Asia Pacific. I will just check all. What will happen is it will create ping request for all the data centers, and you can see the latency. Okay, it will say Asia Pacific, average latency is 98 millisecond. Okay, its region is East Asia. Okay, so again you see Southeast Asia is 49 millisecond. Okay, so it should be sorted. Okay, so you will get a option like this, closest data centers. Okay, I'm just checking all these scenarios. Okay, think about latency test. Asia Pacific, East Asia 115, Singapore 51 milliseconds. Okay, previously it has this sorting option. Okay, so what will happen is through this site you can test all the features, file uploading, speed testing, everything. Download speed test you can perform. Before you develop an application on Azure, first recommendation is try to define your audience. Where are they located at? If they are located at US, you need to check the latency for the US one. Likewise, you can decide what is the data center. So I'm going to just put my data center as Southeast Asia. Okay, my region is done. So the cost, now we are going to calculate the cost for app services. Cost factor get deferred based on the region. Why is that? Okay, because the infrastructure level investment is get deferred for Singapore and US kind of countries, and everything, the cost get their expenses take as a factor. And to highlight another thing to share with you, do you know what are the latest researchers from these cloud providers to minimize the cost of data centers? There's a huge cost for one thing. To minimize that, they are doing researches on how to reduce it, having multiple areas. So what is the huge cost is for coolers. It means while they are having kind of server farms, it generates a lot of heat. You know that if get heats, the performance get down. So we have to have the better coolers and everything. So Facebook tried launching their another data center inside the iceberg in I can't remember the place, Arctic or somewhere. They just try to use natural resource to cool their infrastructure. So Microsoft last year, I think they released a one data center in a tube to the undersea just to utilize the water as the cooling system. Okay. That kind of research is ongoing. So why this region is get matters for the speed and the cost, everything get matters. And another point is some services are available only for some region. So those are the things you have to consider. Another thing is what is the operating system? I said that app services is come under platform as a service scenario, but it asks operating system. What is the operating system you need? This is like which take care of by the provider. You can say I need Windows, or you can say I need Linux. It means if you are just using .NET related, Microsoft related application, you can for .NET Framework application, you have to choose Windows. But if you choose Linux, you can use Java application, other PHP application or anything. But again, you can use Microsoft application. That is the beauty. It's .NET Core. So Linux and Windows, what is the difference? I will just give you the cost estimation. So there are several type of tiers: basic, standard, premium, isolated. So based on the service you need, you can see the price get changed. I will say standard. Okay, so what will happen is, under standard, you can ask, okay, for my application, I need one core, 1.75 GB RAM, 50 GB storage. So you are just thinking about, okay, 1.75 GB RAM, what the hell I can do with this less than a 2 GB RAM? Okay, in here we are just talking about the resources which are assigned for this your application, not about the operating system, other runtime or anything. Okay, you are not worrying about anything when you come to the platform as a service. Okay, so other part is how long you are going to run this application. Say I'm going to say 31 days. Okay, 31 days in, this application will run continuously 31 days. So the cost will be $70.68. Okay, this is Linux. If I say this is Windows, it's a slight change, 74. Okay, I'm going to just reduce these hours as 20 days. So Windows 48, Linux 45. $3 difference. So when it comes to the resource level, you will see a huge resource change, price change. You can just always think about that. So this is the price you are going to utilize for this kind of infrastructure level PaaS service if you are going to use. So now you might wondering why, how I'm using this application for 20 days. When you come to the app services, it has a feature. So if your application, say this is a cost saving factor, if your application not utilizing more than 1 hour, the application goes idle. Whenever the first request comes in the second hour, it will go up and running. So likewise, you can make sure that your cost is gets saved. If you want to make sure the application is continuously up and running, you can disable that feature. So end of the day, you have to calculate your days as 31 days. So this is the calculated amount you are going to spend for a month in this application. Okay. Let's see how we are going to create an application service. Okay, so when you go into the all services, you will see all the services here. So app services come under web. You have to click app service. Okay, so these are my existing applications. I'm going to go to the add part just to create app services. So this application, I'm just using this demo for the first point, just because you can host your own web application, your website or web application in here. You can use storage to host your website. It's a different thing. But in here, through the web application, you can use host anything. The first thing is it will ask, what is your subscription? Okay, I'm going to give them my subscription name. And there's another option called, it asks, okay, what is your resource group? What is this resource group? When you come to the Azure Fundamentals, I'm saying, so this is how you create app services. So resource group is kind of a scenario you can group. Think about, you are going to do a small application for your first year project, and you are going to host it on Azure. So you can say my first year application. So first year application has a resource group. So I'm going to say for this one, I'm going to create resource group as a uni demo. What are the features? So when you have this kind of a group, it's kind of a grouping concept. You can give access to other people in your organization for in your tenant to only for this resource group. Then they will have the access for this resource group. And then again, you can calculate your cost, everything from the monthly cost, what are the allocation for this resource group. And one resource group can have multiple services, Azure services. One Azure services can have only one resource group. So that is called. And you have to provide a name. I will say uni demo Azure websites.net. This is your application URL is going to be. And it will ask how you are going to publish through the code or the Docker containers. If you are going to use container services or anything, you can use Docker containers. I will say I'm going to use publish through my code. Okay. And the runtime stack. Runtime stack in the sense, what is the stack you want to host. Okay. So right now you will see on the .NET Core, it has 3.1, 2.1. ASP.NET, .NET Framework 3.5, 4.7. Java, there are 3. Java 8, there are a set of things. So this is what you highlight in my explanation. You can only use latest application with web applications because provider is deciding what is the framework. Like if I go into this presentation, what are the runtimes? This section we are in, runtime they provide, and you have just only option. If you want to use .NET say 3.0 for your application, if it's a legacy application, you have to use virtual machines. Okay, so it's going to be I'm saying say I would use .NET Core 3.1 and just going Linux. And now we ask what is the data center you have to choose. So we calculate our cost for Southeast Asia. If we type Southeast Asia, we will take. Right. And now it's asking what is the plan. Plan in the sense, what is the RAM and everything you want to have. If you can remember, we calculated. I'm just going to create a new resource plan. Okay, and I'm just changing the size. So you have these options. I'm just go to the due test. Okay, so I'm just going to use 3.5 GB RAM and everything. So my cost will be $2.6 dollars and 28 cents per month. I'm just going to apply, and simply you can check, review, and create. I will go into this network monitoring part. We call application insight. I'm just leaving that for the moment because it is a different topic. And tags, it means if you want to monitor your costing on Azure application wise, you can have a tag like this app name, and you can say demo. And if you're hosting another application, you can use the same name, app name, as the value you can say that app name. So then the last pass, review and create. So what will happen is once you click this, it will create everything for you. This is not a VM, this is the app service, this is a demo. Those are the blah blah stuff you will get hands-on when you're using Azure portal, when you're going to create. So we will see this is like still creating. So after that, I'm moving back again to the presentation just to give you again theory set. So this presentation, if I go continuously theory, since you are at home, you just get idle and you will get bored. That is why I just try to give you a hands-on on this app services scenario with a Azure portal demo. So when this get created, you will have a this kind of message. Go to resource. Now we are in my application Unidemo. If you click on this URL, you will see only a landing page. Okay. Like this, your application is ready. So when you want to just upload your code, just go to the deployment center. You have multiple options: Azure Repos, GitHub, Bitbucket, LocalJit, FTP. Choosing this any kind of service, you can upload your code into this site. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Okay. So I just left few things for the storage. Okay. So let's have a look about this storage. What is this storage scenario? Okay. So if you have question for the points what we just talk about, just send a question on the chat. Then we can answer it later. So I'm just came back to my slides. So we just talk about this these services, computer service, storage, and everything, and the servers, computing, network. I'm now just going to give you a thought about what is this storage. Okay, so storage. Why we need is storage? When you're doing an application, there can be multiple requirements. Like think about if you're just developing as an example. If you're doing just developing application, buying a movie ticket online, looking up on the price of an online item, taking a picture, sending an email, leaving a voicemail. For everything, you need a storage. You need to store images. You might be need to store files. You might be need to store videos. Everything. So now we are talking about with the cloud services. The cost is a one key factor, and the purpose and the services what you're going to use. Those are the other factors. So the storage as well. You have to think about what are the storages you have. Okay, so cloud providers typically offer services that can handle all of these type of data. For example, if you want to store text or movie clip, you could use files on disk. Okay, this is we call file share storage. You can use that kind of storage to store your, it's like files, movie clip, any kind of a document. Other thing is like if you have like structured relational information, if you want to store, definitely you will have to go for a relational database. If you have non-structured, non-relational stuff, you can go for big data, data warehouse kind of a approach. So those are the services which cloud offers for storage. Okay, so what is the advantage when you're using this kind of Azure cloud storage rather than using your on-prem servers? Okay, so I gave this example. If you go out of storage, you have to invest your money, business money, again to purchase new hardware and to maintain. But when it comes to the cloud storage scenarios, you don't worry about anything. Right now, if you want 1 TB storage, you can just go and purchase it and you can keep using it. You will get charged from the day onwards you purchase it. For if you're just thinking about, okay, after 1 month you don't want it, you can remove it. But what will happen if you do it in your own servers? If you invest a huge money, you have to invest huge money to purchase the required hardware, sandboxes, and everything. Once you purchase it, you have to use it. You cannot say, okay, after 1 month, no, I don't need it. You can return it. So those are the things. And then again, at any given time, you can scale it. Like at the bottom, it says the advantage to using cloud-based data storage is you can scale to meet your needs. If you find that you need more spaces to store your movie clips, you can pay a little more and add to your available spaces. In some cases, the storage can even expand and contract automatically. So you pay for exactly what you need at any given point in time. And again, the backups, other feature. So I might be okay. Everything. So when it comes to cloud computing, the key benefits. Okay, why you are just talking about everything cloud, you have to have the better understanding about to convince someone else, okay, we have to use cloud rather than on-prem server. This is the key benefit. First thing is cost effective. You might be learning CapEx and OpEx words. CapEx is capital expenditure and OpEx is operation expenditure. So when you're just maintaining an on-prem server in your business or in your school or kind of in your own business, you have to put CapEx and OpEx both. It means CapEx in sense you have to invest to purchase all the hardwares upfront, whatever you're planning for 5 years usage. Like you cannot purchase another hardware down the line after 3 months. You have to plan it well. So if you are going to invest on 2 million for your server, you have to focus about, okay, I'm going to survive from this server for the next 5 years or 3 to 5 years with that investment. So why is it cost effective when you're using cloud computing? Because you don't worry about the next 5 years. You just have to only focus about right now what is your requirement. If you need 1 TB storage, you just go into the cloud and take it. If you need to have a one application, if you want to host one application, just go to the cloud and host it. But if you're going to invest on hardware, you have to bear the cost for the hardware and for the ACs, electricities, and for the salaries who are going to maintain that hardware, and for the patch update. There's a lot of things with that. So major key is cost effective. And the word, I used this previously. So I said that if you heard, you will forget. So the word is current. Current is what? It's real time. You have the current, like, you don't worry about the power failures or anything. It's current, it's online. And the other point is secure. Okay, when you come to the on-prem servers, it is your responsibility to make sure it's secure. Secure in the sense, now you know there are a lot of ransomwares. As example, nowadays these people are using a face app. Okay, where a girl will see like a boy will see like a girl, have image. You guys just without you knowing, you are just giving your thoughts and your all the access to your personalized information. Okay, so this is out of topic scenario. So if you're just using Facebook and you're just using a lot of these applications, I'm just giving you a point to think. If you Google something, if you just watch on so a Nike shoe, if you just search on a kind of a AliExpress or kind of scenario one product, you will see all the advertisements related to all the search in Facebook. There's an option in Facebook. You can see what are the your personal information, how they track. There are a lot of applications which are you registered. Go and search on Facebook. You can disable them, accessing your personalized information. So that is something I want to highlight. Just go and check that part. When it comes to secure, the infrastructure level security and the application security, those are two different scopes. So when you come to the cloud computing, you don't worry about this infrastructure level security. It means a security guard onwards to everything, firewalls for the hardware level security, who are accessing the data, everything will be taken care of by Microsoft, the cloud provider. But if you're having an on-prem server, you have to invest a lot of money to secure your infrastructure. Elastic in the sense what I explained in previously. At any given time, you can scale it. You can say say when think about computer power. If you need 10 CPUs to perform your task, you can have 10 CPUs. If you need 1 CPU, you can reduce 1 CPU. Likewise, the reliable, all this stuff is these services, and the SLA is called 99.9999 four nines. Up to that level, SLAs are there. Okay, so it's reliable. And the global in the sense, it is not only like if Singapore data center, if there is a nuclear attack for Singapore data center, if you have enabled DR sites on US side, you can just the next minute you can have your application running in the cloud on US data center. But you have to do background works, DR site expanding and syncing. There are a lot of things you have to set up. So these are the features. So scalable scenario, there are two things: vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. These are the cloud concepts. You can do everything on cloud, but you have to have better understanding of this. What is this scaling up? Scaling up in the sense, you have a resource, you can add more resources to that resource. Like say, as if you have a VM, you can scale, have a vertical scale, scaling up, saying, okay, I need to increase my RAM by another 20 GB, say 20 GB one, you're upgrading. I need this kind of storage. You are upgrading the same VM for your application. Say you are using an e-commerce application, it is hosted on, say when you are hitting 1,000 requests per hour, you will have better resources in that VM. So you just adding resources to the VM. So other one is horizontal scaling out. So this means you are just adding another VM for your application. It's not only you are just putting resources into one VM, you are just having another VM. Instead of one VM, you are having two. This process of adding more servers that functions together as one unit. So in that case, when you come to the cloud computing, there are a set of things: firewalls, web access firewall, load balancers, traffic managers. You have to learn a lot, but this is like a spark to you. These are the words we are talking about. These are the concepts we are talking about. These are things we have to focus. Okay, so I hope you have understand about that. Okay, so like I talk about the app services and demo. Now I'm going to talk about the next important part. If you're going to do a application development, my target is for today's session to give you a thought about uh, what is the cloud computing and cloud technologies, what is Azure, and if you're going to use Azure to host your application, what are the things you have to worry. So for that, I just give you the idea about subscriptions and price calculation and how to create app services. Next part is, if you're doing a project with Azure, next part is storage. Like through the app services, you cannot store multiple files, like huge files in app services, because it doesn't have a storage. You have to use a separate storage. So these slides I have created a few months ago. Azure files now not in the preview, but I will explain this. Okay, so the storage types, we have blob storage and Azure files. I'm just taking these two as the example. You have file archive and sorry, it's this table storage, QA storage. Likewise, there are a lot of storage. So for your application, getting that scenario, I will give you this kind of example. You can use blob-based storage or Azure files to store your files related to your application. So when it comes to blob-based storage, we have three key things we have to focus. Those words are hot, cool, and secure. What will happen is, like this storage you can access through your application. It doesn't matter you are just using SDK, .NET or .js, Java, PHP, Ruby, anything, you can access this blob storage. So what will happen is hot and cold. What is the difference of this? Difference only thing is pricing. For a hot, like when you come to calculate this price, when you come to the storages, it charges for the storage, the capacity, and for the read write number of times, like the battery utilization. So when it comes to hot, what we recommend is to host if you are just accessing this file frequently. So what the benefit is, like the storage cost is little bit higher, but read write is little bit less when you select hot. So when you are just developing e-commerce application, you know that the product images get accessed frequently. Though we recommend to store them on a hot blob storage. And what is this cool? Cool in the sense, if you have files, you are not accessing them frequently, but say once a month, say twice a year, thrice a year, kind of a scenario. So we recommend to go with cool storage. So what the benefit is, like storage cost is little low, but the read write cost is little high. Okay. So then again, I have the word called secure in here. What is secure? Secure in the sense, like when you have this hot cold blob storage, when you upload a file, you will get a URL to access the same file. So when you are just developing an application, you can use this hot or cool, whatever the blob storage, open or secure. Open in the sense, like public in the sense, you get a URL, whoever has that URL can access that file. Secure in the sense, you are just getting a request URL, but you have to go through with the proper request and it will give the access. Then only you can access the file. So this is you can achieve through coding level. It's not like administrator give you access to access that file. It's not like that. There's a different coding mechanism. You can use Azure storage. So what will happen is you can just use them. So what is this Azure Files? Azure Files we call file share services. So if you have multiple uh, video files or PDF documents, whatever the documents, if you want to store that kind of level files, you can store them on Azure File Servers. So this is not majorly not related to the applications. Think about the organization which maintain their all the Office documents inside their servers attached to virtual machines. So same thing you can achieve through using this Azure File Servers. So what will happen is you can create a virtual machine and you can create Azure Files storage. You can attach that file storage. Same like if you when you attach in a network drive to your virtual machine or your PC. Same concept, you can attach them. So the common scenarios is many on-premises applications use file shares. This make it easier to migrate those applications that shares data to Azure. Configuration files can be stored on a file share and accessed by multiple VMs. Like configuration files in the likes, we have product templates, everything, configuration files, we can use Azure files. Diagnosis logs, metrics, cache dumps, everything. Like you might be not thinking or heard these words, diagnosis log, metrics, crash dumps. All are these words related to applications and infrastructure. So when you have the logs, you can just check on what are the service level, everything. Tools and utilities used by multiple developers in group can be stored on a file share to ensure that everyone uses same version. So file share is if you are just using a common thing, you can store them on file share. Okay. Okay, so we talk about this blob storage, Azure files, and I'm going to just talk about table storage and queues. What is this table storage? Azure table storage is a kind of a service. It's scalable, NoSQL data store that enables you to store huge amounts of semi-structured, non-relational data. It does allow you to do complex documents. Basically, it is not a database, but you can have a kind of a tables you can store, but you cannot maintain a relationship. You can keep store. As an example, think about if you are using an IoT solution where you grab a lot of telemetry says data from the different machines. You can store them on this table storage because you don't have a relationship in between those data. So queues in the sense like this is more like another service, again store. So if you want to just send some information to application and you want to make sure that you are processing them one by one, say as example, so say your exam scores. So you want to make sure that I'm just taking the example. You have to take subject-wise subject scores. The scores is done by another function, not by your application, say serverless function. So what you can do is you can push your scores into these queues with the data set, and your function, you can set your function to read one by one and process whatever the thing you want to do. So other Azure queue services used to store and retrieve messages. Queue messages can be up to 64 KB in size, and a queue can contain millions of messages. Like it says one message 64 KB, and it can have million of messages. There's no data loss. You can read them when you want. Once you read it, you can destroy it. So that kind of a queue mechanism you can use. Okay, the example is queues are generally used to create list of messages to be processed synchronously. The queue services support best effort first in, first out queues. Like whatever they come in first, you can get them first out. So I have 15 minutes more. Okay, so I will just give this also. Okay, so when it comes to cloud computing, other things, so we talk about the Azure storage and everything. Now you have an understanding about the services. I'm just recapping cloud computing and what are the cloud offerings and how we are going to use app services. and you have storage and everything. End of the day, I highlighted why we are focusing about why we want to have a cloud infrastructure, just because of its current and reliable. So when we are talking about one data center, still there is a doubt like what will happen if something goes wrong in that data center. Think about a fire, think about a nuclear attack or kind of a thing. If the earthquake kind of a thing, if this data center get destroyed, what will happen? Okay. What will happen is Azure, like you have to make sure that your application will function without any disturbance. So you have services, redundancy services. There are 4 offerings. How you can use them. First thing is we call LRS, local redundant storage. So what will happen is if you enable this LRS backup scenario, Azure Storage provides availability by ensuring that 3 copies of all data maintained synchronously before write is deemed successfully. These copies stored in a single facility in a single region. It means your application is at Singapore data center. What will happen is if you enable LRS, it will maintain 3 copies in same data center, same region in a different servers. So, but still there's a risk. What will happen is the benefit of this, if something goes wrong in your application, say some kind of a hacking or any kind of a scenario, the benefit is you have a backup, you can restore it. It's called LRS. Other one is geo-redundant storage, GRS. What will happen is GRS make 3 synchronized LRS copies of the data in primary region for high availability. And then it synchronizes and make 3 LRS replicas in paired region for disaster recovery. So what will happen is, so region, Southeast Asia is a region, Azure has paired regions. Like for a Singapore one, I can't remember the exact paired region, maybe Shanghai, maybe Europe, there's a kind of a paired region. If you enable geo-redundant storage, what will happen is, it will make sure 3 synchronous LRS copies in the same data center, and it will make sure those 3 copies will be maintained, copied into another paired region. So if something happened to that Singapore data center, you can get your data from the paired region. So its example is, for the example, West US paired with West East US one. This has a small impact on scalable target for the storage accounts. The GRS copies in the paired region are not accessible to you. And GRS is best viewed as disaster recovery for Microsoft rather than for you. So GRS is kind of a thing you can enable, but you cannot access. You have to request them from Microsoft. It's something for Microsoft. But you make sure in like, whatever happened to my local site, but still there is a copy in a different region. Okay. Other point is read access geo-redundant storage. So this one, you can just same thing, GRS one, but read access. You have the access, like it says secondary region, which makes it suitable for customer disaster recovery. If there's a problem with the primary region, you can change your application to have read-only access to the paired region. Your customers might not be able to perform updates, but at least for the data is still available for viewing reporting. Like think about like if you are maintaining a kind of a learning site of kind of a scenario, if something goes in a primary region, but still people can retrieve the information. You have the read access. What we do is like we use the read access geo-redundant service. I'm just giving an example to kind of a balance the load. Say like if you are having multiple enterprises companies, if you are talking about 500 employees who are using analytics like dashboards in a single database, like 500 users, just think about viewing dashboards. What a load we are talking about. Number of requests. What we are doing is we are just enabling this read access geo-redundant service in a different region, and we just segregate. If when we are creating dashboards, we just direct connect those dashboard with this read access redundant storage. So it has redundant, but it will make sure there is no impact for the people who write data to the application, like normal users, daily users. The impact for the application we can reduce, like then we can utilize maximum resources what we have without utilizing more resources. The last one is zone redundant storage. So what is zone redundant storage is, this is a new option that applies only to blocks. It replicates your data across two to three facilities. We have zones. I'm just giving you an idea about the world map, how this get distributed all these across the world, either within a single region or across two regions. These provide higher duration than LRS. Okay. If you see this map, you see this all the region. So East Asia, Southeast Asia, India South, India Central, these are our regions. Everything is how got it distributed. So I can remember what are the zones, like connecting few regions, they have declared as zones. Okay, the kind of a scenario. And lastly, about Azure, I'm going to give you this slide. Okay. What is this slide is, this is a basic structure, like services diagram, what Azure offers. When it comes to security and management, there are a lot of services. Also, okay, forget, let's start from the bottom. So data center infrastructure, 32 region, 24 online. This is quite odd. There are more regions and data centers, but you are not worrying about these data centers. What is the infrastructure hardware level? What are the brands? Everything. But on top of that, you can use infrastructure services like compute, virtual machines, containers, storage, blob, queues, files, disk, and networking, virtual network, load balancers, DNS, expert routes, traffic manager, VPN gateway, app gateway. There are a lot of things. On top of infrastructure services, you have platform services like this, and you can still use hybrid cloud and security management. Since I got the word like hybrid cloud, I will just explain that as well. What is this hybrid cloud? So we talk about on-prem and cloud, like on-prem in the sense, maintain your all the resources inside your building, inside your office, on-prem servers. Cloud in the sense, maintain everything on cloud. Then again, there's another option called hybrid cloud. So hybrid cloud in the sense, mix of both. Set of information will be on-prem, set of things will happen on cloud. Real example is for the banks. Banks are not permanent to, like, the circulation is going to be come out, not permanently store customer data outside the country. So store the customer data. So think about, so if they store all the customer data on-prem database services, and if they can use their applications in Azure, perform some logics and functions to utilize computation power on cloud, then we call it as a hybrid environment, hybrid cloud. So mix of local and cloud. So we have security management, security center, portal, Active Directory, AD, B2C, B2B, schedule, there are a lot of things. So now you should realize Azure is something not simple. There are a lot of things. Best thing is you need to have concepts in your mind. When you have the right concepts in your mind, you can just go and dig into these technologies. So that is about Azure for the day I'm going to talk about, because when I'm going to talk about Azure, there are a lot of things. I didn't talk about databases. I didn't publish application. There are a lot of things, but I just gave you the cloud concepts. So lastly, since I have another 6 minutes more, I'm just give you a thought about what industry is expecting from you. So when I'm doing a session, the starting and ending is my unit. Starting is given to you, how you just train yourself. The middle part is the content. I just deliver my content and I'm giving you something. Since I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in my own business. I just want these kind of people. Like, then only thing is we have to transfer that knowledge to the next generation to be prepared for the industry expectation. So these are, I'm just talking about 6 things, not much. We are just focusing on self-learners. Okay, self-learners in the sense, just as lecturers like us, your professors, everyone just can give you a thought. Okay, these are the services, these are the things you can do. But rest of the things, say, I just go demo you how to create app services, but I didn't demo you how to upload the code. But I gave you the insight. Go to the deployment center. You have multiple ways: Bitbucket, Jet, FTP, everything. Now it's up to you. Self-learn that part by creating Azure tenant and just uploading your code and do a small code and use connected blob storage. And those are the what we call self-learning, because industry is not expecting a person who come to just learn again for a like degree. There are no people who teach you the coding, but there are leaders who guide you on the technology. So you have to make yourself as self learners. Other one is commitment and responsible. So you need to be committed. Right now, I'm not sure that how many people remaining in this session uh, might be think about, okay, this is boring, this is not something related to me, but I can learn this thing after another session or kind of thing. Later I will access this. So those are, we call it, not committed to your goal. So your goal should be like, today I'm going to learn about something Azure. What is this cloud computing? I need to commit it, like, okay, I'm going to learn, I'm going to do something. So committed to your goal and be responsible for your task. Like if you get a task, if you just say, example, you are doing group projects, okay? So you will just segregate, okay, you write the project proposal, documentation, you do this code, everything. So if you don't like, if you're not getting that responsibility, if you're not taking that part, so the possibility of failing your project is high. So just train yourself at this moment, committed and responsible. Other point is initiatives. Train your brain to think about problems and do initiatives. Right now, what you guys are thinking is, when your professors ask you to do first year project and second year project, all are thinking about, okay, I'm going to do a FOSS application. I'm going to do a billing application. Maybe I'm just doing a student registration application. Don't just limit it to that scope. There are a lot of issues in Sri Lanka where you can address. It's a group project. You guys having multiple skill. You can get a lot of industry expert to support you. Just try to have one initiative. We are going to issue this social issue in our project. Likewise, you can do a lot. And the collaboration. Collaboration in the sense, so initiatives, I said about the example is a project. The industry is expecting people like who can initiate stuff. You can initiate, as an example, when you're in a company, you can initiate. You can say team lead, there's a latest technology coming in. Shall we just focus on that and just do research? That is an initiative. You can do a report. Okay, if you do this technology, if you use this technology, these are the benefits what we can have. Those kind of initiatives we are talking about. The collaboration. That is a key point. When you look at on some point, think about a problem. You might be thinking on that in a different way. But same problem might be seen your friend in another way, in an angle. So why you are having group projects in university? To collaborate and try to understand others' thoughts as well. Don't be just try to push everything, okay, this is the way we should do. Collaborate in the sense you have to discuss and just think. The same thing interest is expecting. You have teams. When you have teams, you have to think, okay, discuss everything. Okay, this is technology we are going to use and why we are going to use it. Likewise, this is project, what are the features, everything you have to focus and foresee. And the management, the last the thing, not the last thing, before that, you have to manage everything yourself, like the time management, study management, learning management. Now you think how many hours you are spending for a day to learn new stuff. Are you going to be a legacy professional? Like lot of technologies releases right now also, there might be releasing a lot of technologies. Might be the product teams are inventing a lot of technologies. Within next month, you will be getting a lot of technology. So you have to manage yourself to learn them and you can manage. That is management. And the last part is leadership. So we don't need guys who need spoon feeding. And we are not expecting bosses. We need leaders who can guide their team and who can lead to success. So that is something we are expecting as the industry. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recap the since I'm just out. We are going to recap what we learned today. We had an idea about what is how should you focus on your life, how you have to do everything to learn, and you have the idea about the technology. Don't forget, it is when you are trying to do the project, it is not the question like what technology can do. It's a question like what you can do with the technology. And we talk about the cloud computing and the computation power and the storage and cloud computing and what is Azure and what is cloud offerings, Azure services, and we did hands-on on Azure portal, Azure subscription and billing, and Azure price calculator, and I did Azure app services. Uh, and I couldn't do custom domains and adding SSL part. And we learned about Azure storage and Azure redundancy, backup scenarios, and the regions and the services and something to your life. So it means what is not expected. So thank you very much for being with this almost I would say it's so we started 50 minutes late, 1.5 and 45 minutes. So just if you have any queries, you can raise it now. If not, if you have something, you just can find this. This is my social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, or anything, LinkedIn. So just send me a chat. You have my WhatsApp and the mobile number and email address. You can write. So I hope that in the day you learn something in this session. Maybe it's too deep. It's not too deep actually. I just start the foundation level stuff. There are a lot of too deep stuff. And lastly, okay. I see there are questions like first thing is Azure Service Fabrics and Express 16 presentation slides again. Are there any security issues regarding Azure Blob storage? Okay. Azure Service Fabric. So actually the Azure also running on Azure Service Fabric. It is something like I'm not well experienced at. So if you're just really interested on that, it is a separate session. The lecture we have to arrange. But if you really need that, just request it. We will have another session to plan that Azure Service Fabric scenario. Container service and everything. Microservices all come under Azure Service Fabrics. And okay, the next question is like 16th presentation slide again. What is this 16th one? So 16th is this one. I'm not sure whether you are asking that one. Okay, just if I appreciate if you can come again on the question. Are there any security issues regarding Azure Blob Storage since attackers are very familiar with Microsoft ecosystem? You don't want to worry about that thing because answering that Pawan's question, the question is like, are there any security issues regarding Azure Blob Storage since attackers are very familiar with Microsoft ecosystem? I would say 50-50, but the familiarity say, but there's inside the Microsoft there are two teams we call red team and blue team. Red team, what they does is by being inside the Microsoft, they attacks their infrastructure. They do attacks. What the response is blue team is avoid all the attacks. So they just testing their all the infrastructure by themselves. So we cannot say like attackers has more familiarity in this Microsoft ecosystem. Behind the blob, we are talking about a lot of infrastructure layer security. It has firewall, everything. Only thing is, if you're using blob-based storage in an open way, only thing is they can access the data through the URL. But if you use it to secure it, still you cannot do it because you have to create a token before to access the data in a blob. So I would say still in secure manner. So John Davis, so is it possible if you can send us the slide? I missed the first few. Yes, I can share this slide, but it's quite heavy. I will just discuss with the moderators that's how I can upload, or may I upload it and I will share it, the OneDrive link, then you can access it. Send this slide, Kasun, Mr. Shamir. Nimesh is asking, Mr. Shamir, would you be able to demonstrate us how to create Vim in Azure? Yes, I would love, but the time is not enough for that. I'm open for another session. Your moderators can request that. On that session, I will go in deep, creating a VM and more in that infrastructure level storage and everything. Okay, again, Kasun is also asking that size. Yes. Okay, I won't think that if I send this in chat box, if I see the capacity of this one, it is 23.3 MB list. So moderators, if it is okay, if I just put this slide on this chat.
Excuse me, Mr. Shamira.
Yeah, I'm just talking. If it is okay, if I just put this slide on this, will it be possible? Right hand up here. That is not possible in the chat. What I do is I will put it on a drive and I will share the link with the moderators and okay. Okay. So since my connection got lost, I'll okay, the question I got. I had the student subscription and the credits quickly finished. Yes, that's happened. Like only thing is just I'm just giving a thought. If you just carry a VM, just use it and remove it. Then you can save your credits. And I know for the students there are a lot of free services. For one VM it is free, and you can have app 10 application hosted on Azure for 1 year. There are a lot of services. So best thing is try to have better understanding about what are the free services. If you just keep using unwanted stuff, your credit will be lost. So I will just demo that what I'm going to do. So if you see, like I created a one service to demo you. I hope you can see my screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to my resource groups. So I'm done with Unidomo. I'm going to just select it there. Go to here. Sorry, I'm going to here. And I'm deleting resource group. So what will happen is it will just delete all the resources in this one. And for sure I know that I'm just deleting whatever the resources I use for demo this one. And just click on delete. So likewise, if you have resource group, unwanted stuff, testing stuff, just remove them. Share the Google link for the session slide to this chat box. Okay. This is not in Google, it is in my Microsoft stuff, and it is in the corporate tenant. I have to upload it to somewhere and I will share it. So I hope that these moderators, organizers has all this audience information. So then I will pass this link to them. Okay, just give me 1 second. It's just a matter of a second. I will do it. Okay. Now when I will just send you that link to here. It won't take much time to upload. If you have questions, so I'm just doing this, uploading this one. If you can ask questions, so give me 2 minutes to upload this. Publish. Okay, and first uploading this. Okay. It's done. Share. Building. Copy. Okay. Here's the link. Right, done that part. What's different Microsoft Azure from its competitors like Google and Cloud, Amazon, and AWS? Okay, that is a tough question. And so when it comes to cloud competitors like Google, AWS, everyone has the features, same features by different names. But I see if we are just talking about Microsoft environment without talking about open source, Azure has a lot of benefits. Like when you're creating Windows PCs or stuff, you have discounts and you can packages. And now only we cannot say Microsoft is like Microsoft, which was existing 10 years ago. Now Microsoft also open source. You can for a cheaper price you can host a lot of things. So I cannot highlight a huge difference. But what I can say is, if you are just talking about the Sri Lankan context, I think only cloud provider who has a office in Sri Lanka is Microsoft, and there are people who can access, and like MVPs like us in Sri Lanka, we have I think 17 MVPs. No, sorry, now we have 13 MVPs into different technologies. They are open to do any kind of technology sessions. So that is how it's happened. When it comes to the commercials and marketing point services, all are same. Okay, so if there are no any questions, we can wrap up the session. Organizers, it's up to you.
Mr. Shamir, can you hear me?
Please go ahead.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, could you like demonstrate us like how to make a VM in the Azure? Like, if you can like take 5 minutes, because I think most of people here wants to know how to like make a VM.
Okay. If you are just willing to be on the line, I will demo. Okay.
Yeah, like you don't have like take a long time, like just
No
5 minutes.
problem.
Like, in brief.
Okay. So what you have to do, so I hope that you guys can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. So what you have to do is VM's command compute. Okay. You have to create the virtual machine. Okay. So you will see this virtual machine classic and virtual machine. So the latest one is virtual machine with ARM technologies, ARM templates. You just go into add. Okay. Something happens like this. Don't worry, just try again. Add. Okay. So then again, when you create a virtual machine, you have to create the subscription, select the subscription, and again you have to select the resource group. Since I just deleted this, I will create that one. Do me demo uni. Okay, and it starts with the virtual machine name. Okay, so you have I can give you demo uni VM1, and it starts region again. I have given you the regions. You have to choose this region, Southeast Asia. Okay. and it's asked availability options. So on so set, I'm not going to give that part for the moment. Now it's asked what is the image you want to have. You want to have Ubuntu or Red Hat or anything. I'm just going to say that I want to have a Windows one 2000. Let's go the latest one. Okay. What is the actual spot sense? So first actual capacity as a discounted rates, specific prices. Okay. So this is kind of a more into the pricing. You just can get workloads and everything again through a cheaper price, offers unused Azure capacity at a discounted rates versus passive go prices. Like if you just use this for the cut of resources, you can reuse them likewise. So when it comes to sizes, you have standard sizes. Like if you want to go into the more sizes, you can just select size. So normally now these are the recommended sizes. Still you can see all sizes, lot of things. What are the sizes? So these are general purpose VMs. We have there are basics and premium kind of a stuff. So if I select this B2MS, what will happen is it's a general purpose VM which has two vCPUs, virtual CPUs, and 8 GB RAM, 4 GB data. Yes, 4 GB it is. Yes, and IOPS temporary storage we have 16 and supported cost is 83. So I'm going to use B2MS. So I'm going to select and select. Okay, then it is asked username for your VM. I will say admin demo uni. I'm going to have this on my notepad, and I'm going to have a password. Okay, I'm going to put this as password, and I'm confirming the password. Okay, now the next part is this. Inbound ports allow selected ports. It means when you're creating the this VM server, you can by default enable these ports. RDP ports in the list, you can get this virtual machine remotely. And if you're going to host a application, web application on here, you can host open this HTTP port as well. Right now, I'm not going to open this HTTP port. If you open this 3389 port, there is a risk because everyone knows that RDP default port is 3389. Normally, how we advise is just don't open this one. Have a VPN gateway and access your server through the VPN. So next off, I will just explain. By having this, you can just create your VM, but I just want to explain the next thing, disks. So you are getting a disk for the OS. So you are now by default is a premium SSD. You can create this to a standard HDD, standard SSD, premium SSD. All these prices get differed. Before you create the VM, just go to the Azure price calculator and just check what is your budget. Based on that, select these all options. I will go standard SSD since premium SSD is too cost. And if you want to encrypt, just select encryptions. And the other option is like if you have different data disks which you created previously. So most people are asking like my the cost is my credits are expired soon. What you can do is if you're using a VM, your files storage is stored on a different data disk. You can create a different data disk in here. It will be stored as a storage account. So just once you've done it, when you want to remove the VM, just remove the VM only, not the disk. When you are creating a VM again, you can attach that same disk to that VM. So that is the way you can save your cost. Okay. So the next part is networking. So we have the virtual networking. These are the default things you will get created. What is the subnet? What is the IP? And the other one is if you need to create a IP, which is these are dynamic. It's a public, but when you restart the server, it gets changed. If you just want to create a static one, go to create new and make it basic assignment type static. UIP won't get changed. It will be a public static IP. So every time you access to that IP, you can access. Public endpoint ports, in the first screen we selected them, RDP everything. So I'm going to next management part. So this is all the security stuff, boot diagnosis, OS guest. You don't want to worry about this unless you are a very keen at secure part in infrastructure level and everything. Just go to the advanced part. Thing. Again, tags in the sense I explained this. If you want to highlight the cost of this VM, if you have multiple VMs, if you want to highlight the VM type, have this key name and the value. That parts, and you just click on review and create. So you see your VM information and create it. So it will take 2-3 minutes to create. The deployment got started. Until it gets created, if you have questions, this was more costly than the VM. You can go into standard HDD, SSD, and premium disk are more costly. Like, when you're going to buy the SSD hard disk for your PC as well, this is double the cost, like normal HDD. So when you come to the enterprise level solutions, they are not worrying about that cost because the information and performance is their high priority. Right now, since you are just in this study level, you are just keen about this cost. For your testing everything, you can go with HDD one. Those are cheaper. Okay. VM is still creating. So these are the stuff get created. It has an NSG, the network security group. This is the public IP and the storage account for your disks and the network interfaces and virtual machines. Now, when you're creating a virtual machine, you get everything created like this. There are a lot of things when it comes to infrastructure, how we get secure, what is this network security group, and what is this VNet, virtual network. So likewise, there are a lot of things you guys have to study. If your requirement is just to create a VM and use it, don't worry about all this. Once you just, when it's created, you will get a notification, resources ready. Okay, all are created, but this status is not ready. Questions. Okay. I choose HDD, but my storage cost more than $50. Yes. Yes, and shall we go to actual files calculator and see what is the cost exactly? Virtual machine. I'm just going to delete this one. VM. My region is going to be Southeast Asia. South Asia, I'm going to use Windows, OS. Sorry, standard basic. I just go for the basic one. It will ask 1 core, 2 core. I will go for the 2 core one. Yeah. 1 core is the cheapest. Here is 40 GB, $29. For this one, you will get a 40 GB temporary storage. It's called temporary. You cannot store your files there because it's randomly get deleted. So these are the offering types, and that's why you want to have a managed disk. I will have a say 512 one disk is 34.8. If you just go 32 GB, is 2.46. This is not for the OS. This is for your application. So always you can go for a cheaper reduced one. For the OS, it will have the everything in this one. And this, what is this computation? Pay as you go, 1 year reserve, 3 year reserve. It means if you go with the pay as you go, you pay for one, and 1 year is reserved is you pay at once for a 1 year usage. Okay, why is there 0% discount? Okay, for the basics one, you don't get that pricing offers. Let me check one. Yes, if you see a different configuration, say if you pay at once for 1 year cost, say this is the cost per month, say $1,000 at once, you will get a 46% discount. 3 years, 85% discounts. So if you have your license, on-prem license already, you can go with the Azure hybrid benefit. So for the license, they charge 11.68. It will got reduced. So these are the things you have to plan. Well, let's see what about our VM. Yes, deployment is done. Sorry, that's my notification. Go to resource. So I can just click on connect, RDP, T3, download RDP file. I'm just clicking on it, remote desktop, and it will ask for the username. Or go to the more choice, use a different account. Demo 1. Demo 1 and my password. Just click OK. So here your VM. You get connected. Then you can do whatever you want inside this VM. It's setting up personalization. Okay, done. It's ready for your use. So might be some other people asking like, what if create a VM and download themes onto my VM so I can save my data. So yes, you can save your download data. Then again, what you're going to do with that film inside that VM, when you're going to watch it, still you are downloading that like the video file again to us is we call streaming. When you're watching it, it will double cost. First one is your data, and your VM is charging outbound data, like when you are downloading information from cloud to your prem, cloud will charge as the bandwidth usage. So I just shared that one because people are asking that when you're looking at the speed of that data connectivity, people might thinking, okay, hey, I can download stuff. Charles, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Okay. So I hope it's work for you, that creating VM part and accessing it. If you're going to host on IaaS, you have to enable it from server configuration, IaaS. If you're going to use some other thing, WAMP or LAMP or Tomcat, Apache, you can just install them by yourself. Okay. So if I feel like there are no questions, so I hope we can wrap up the session. Organizers?
Okay, thank you very much for your valuable session, sir. As we are approaching the end of today's event, I hope that Indrajit has a few words to say about the event. So it's over to you, Indrajit.
Yes, Amandanangi. We just had a very informative session by Mr. Samir Parajapriya. Obviously, I have, as a person, I have to accept we today I have the Azure Fundamentals, cloud computing, how to create VM, and even the industry expectation from undergraduate like us. So it's 100% complete session, and it's so much informative. Thank you so much for accepting my single just invitation, and spending your valuable time with us today, and hope you will come for our future sessions too, sir. And thank you so much for secondly, thank you so much for our very own organizing committee, FOSS Community NSBM, and Devoki subcommittee. I really glad to be with you all and organize such an event with you all. It's really a great effort, and all I really admire that effort. And finally, a big thank you for all the participants. Currently, we had around today, we had 70 around participant, and hope you all get something out of it. And thank you so much all, and have a good night. Amandalangi.
Thank you, Aya. Again, a huge thank you goes out to everyone who worked so hard to make this event a success, especially our guest speaker, Mr. Shamira Prajapriya, and to everyone who joined us today. Thank you very much. And before winding up, just a little reminder for all of you. The feedback form is there on the Google Meet chat. I hope that you would be kind enough to give us your valuable feedback, as it strengthens us to hold better events in the future. Okay, so let's meet again with another event like this in the near future. Until we meet again, goodbye.